The struggle they don't tell you about when you're balancing fatherhood and entrepreneurship and humanhood. And while you're pretending on LinkedIn that you're Robin Hood on a motorcycle, saving the day, transforming the universe, pivoting your startup, what you're not seeing is your shadow. And your shadow, just like in basketball, they say ball don't lie, shadow don't lie. Your shadow does not shift in shape when you're talking. It doesn't shift in shape when you're thinking. Your shadow's your shadow. So while we can put lipstick on a pig, pivot our startup, transform the universe, empower others, the reality is, how do we vroom empower ourselves? So this is vlog number 2. My name is Michael Goldman. Michael Goldman, also known as Love Dove. I'm 45 years old, father of 3. Been fortunate to work in tech since January 1, 1997 at NASA. And I'm embarking on the hardest path in my career, which is starting my own business. Now, when you start your own business, especially a tech business, man, there's so much to do. And nobody tells you about the struggle. Nobody tells you about the vast amount of space, the huge void that's filled with nothingness. And how do you pragmatically take steps in the right direction? Just like when you're on a buggy and you're pushing the buggy, also known as a pram. How do you push it in the right direction? In the safe direction, in the healthy direction, in the sustainable direction. And the truth is that while tech is glamorous and SaaS is cool and being sassy is avant-garde and marketing is all the rage and social media is not as socially pleasant as anybody thinks or pretends it is, the reality is, how are you going up in your company without your emotions, your body, your soul, your mind going down? How do you do that? Well, recently I've spoken to, written, engaged with a number of either entrepreneurs or the boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, family members of said entrepreneurs to understand what's the dual reality, the duality of the person, the woman, the man, the he, the they, the them, that's creating their startup. And how do they go from starting up to scaling up? And how do they go from scaling up to staying up? And how do they react when they're down? When the revenues are down? When they as an individual feels down? It's a lonely road. It's a lonely trek. And there's signposts along the way. There's milestones. Well, I'm discovering this for the first time. Well, it's not my first time from a career perspective doing my own thing. I had been a consultant for a number of years. An actual paid consultant, not a consultant that's on LinkedIn who's out of work that's pretending to be a consultant, but an actual paid consultant. I did that for a few periods of my time. I did it in 2006 when I was transitioning from being a product manager in Silicon Valley to living in London and working to get into sales. Well, I learned the concept of cold calling, SDRing, before it was called SDR, time management, organizational management from the sales perspective. before getting to a full-time job in late 2006. And then I did it again in 2008. Late 2007, late 2008 for about 6 months. Then I did it again in 2012 for about 4 years across Israel, Poland, Germany, California. And then again recently, although this time being an independent freelance consultant is to bootstrap my startup, Cheetah Integrity Analytics. And wow, it is really, 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 really hard. There's moments throughout the day where the inertia, the motivation, the passion, it's enough, and yet you have to check yourself before you wreck yourself and say, okay, what am I working on today? What's my focus? What are my top 2 areas? Am I executing? Am I making progress? Am I staying positive, grounded? And so part of my techniques to stay positive, grounded, and some days it's a struggle more than others. Number 1, keeping it real. You know, in my notepad, it's the closest I've ever come to a diary. And actually writing down the areas I'm struggling with, what am I doing about it? Writing down my focus areas and what have I accomplished that day. Writing down goals for the rest of the afternoon or evening or however much time is left that day. And instead of beating myself up, executing on goals. And whatever I didn't accomplish that day, waking up the next day saying, Modeh ani, grateful I am, Shema Israel, listen O Israel, and continuing. Another technique, Kadima, relentless forward pursuit of action, moving forward. Number 3, telling, asking, sharing with the people who are positive, loving members of my life. My sister Samantha, my brother Shai, my mother Brigitte, my father David, my girlfriend Natalie, my friends Alex, and Alex, my friends Vladimir, Oren, Dan, and my aunt Chaya, and a number of others, and say, okay, hey, I'm feeling a bit low, or I'm feeling a little bit down. There's a network of coaches, mentors that I'm starting to consider hiring. But in the meantime, they've added value to my life. Yedidia and 2-3 others. The name escapes me at the moment. Anyway, have a blessed day. Vlog number 2. The founder monologues. And I'm curious, how do you, as an entrepreneur, or as a small business owner, or somebody who's been scaling up and continuing in your career, how do you balance? How do you keep it pragmatic and positive and loving? How do you make sure you're not creating a version of your shadow that's not real? Share with me. My email, mrmichaelgoldman@gmail.com. Find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, Mr. Michael Goldman. 9 minutes of love. Peace.